Hey guys, welcome back to Soho. Now unfortunately I'm not here to do a walk around because obviously all the shops are shut at the moment, but I am here to meet up with some of the guys in our shop, and I thought whilst I'm there, why not put those ovens on and we'll bake a recipe together. And I thought I'll do one of my one-hit wonders, which is one of my absolute favourite things, and that is a carrot cake. So I've been to the shop, I've picked up all my bits and bobs, so let's get in and do some baking. It is so very strange being in central London with absolutely empty streets. I cannot wait to get back to normal and have all you guys coming in for your cakes and your coffees. So just give me 5 minutes, I'll get all my ingredients ready and then come on upstairs. I love making a carrot cake because you basically can't go wrong. We're not going to use any fancy techniques or anything. We're going to make it all in one big bowl and then we're going to pour it into a tin and bake it. I'm going to bake it in a loaf tin because I just think it's so satisfying having a nice slice of cake, and I'm just going to put a little bit of icing on top as well because the flavour of a carrot cake is so amazing that you don't want to hide it with loads of icing. So let's get on and make this thing. So in this bowl here I've already got 225 grams of sunflower oil, but you can use vegetable oil as well. Olive oil I would stay away from just because it's quite a strong taste and we don't really want to pull away from our other flavours in here. So I'm going to add 120 grams of light brown and caster sugar. And I'm going to use a whisk to stir those together until it's fully combined. And now we're going to add 3 eggs. I'm going to add them one at a time, and as usual I'm breaking it into this little bowl first to make sure we don't get any shell in our mix. So I'm going to put them in and give them a good whisk. This way it's just going to combine a lot easier. That is looking lovely and smooth already, so now we can get some dry ingredients in there. So here I've got 210 grams of plain flour. I'm going to add a bit of raising agent to this. So I'm going to add a nice rounded half teaspoon, so it's more like a 3/4 teaspoon, a bit like this, of both bicarb and baking soda. So they're both going in. I'm going to put a good pinch of salt because you know salt brings out the flavours, I say it every time. And then some cinnamon as well. So I'm going for a nice rounded whole teaspoon. And first we'll just mix those together. And now we can add this. I'm going to do it in 2 halves. I'm just going to get rid of my whisk because I am done with him for now. And we're going to fold it in with a spatula. And that's our basic batter here. It's lovely and smooth. So now it's time to add our final 2 ingredients, and that's the nuts and the carrots. So firstly, nuts. I've got in total 125 grams of nuts, and I've gone for a combination of pecans and walnuts. But if you prefer one more than the other, just go with that. And as you can see, I've chopped them up. I used the food processor because I wanted them to be really quite fine so that they kind of add to the texture of our cake, and then you get these nice nutty chunks in there as well. So I'm going to put all of those into my batter. And I'm just going to fold those through again. And once all of the nuts are combined, I'm going to add the carrot because that's the most important part of a carrot cake. So don't forget this part. So in this bowl, I've grated 175 grams of carrots. It's about 2 medium ones. And I'm going to add that straight to the mix and mix it through. Okay, now at this stage I'd love to say how wonderful this looks, but carrot cake doesn't have the most appealing look before it's baked, but don't worry, it's going to be absolutely delicious and moist and full of flavour once it is baked. So now we need to pour it into our tin. So the batter should kind of even itself out because it's a very wet batter, but you might Just want to give it a little jiggle and then it's ready to bake. So it's going to take a long time because this is a big old bit of cake here. So I'm going to put it in the oven for an hour and then we're going to check it. I'm going to put it in at 160 degrees C and then we'll test it with a skewer as usual to make sure it comes out clean. If at any stage you think the top's looking a little bit crusty, it's fine. Get a bit of tin foil and make a little lid for it and it's going to bake perfectly. So let's get it in the oven. So I'll see you in about an hour. Okay, so the cake is out of the oven and it needs to cool down completely before I can ice it, because otherwise my icing's just gonna melt off. And I would also recommend, if you have time to, is to leave your carrot cake to the next day just to give it a little bit of time to relax and soften, and you'll find that the texture is much more moist. It's one of those cakes that kind of improves with age. A bit like wine, but not as long as wine. But I don't have time to wait till tomorrow. I want to eat my cake now. So I'm going to make a little bit of cream cheese icing just to spread on the top of my cake. And it's super, super easy. So in this bowl, I've got 50 grams of unsalted butter and 75 grams of soft cream cheese. And now, because this is quite a small amount of icing, I'm going to use my hand whisk because this is going to be quite small to put in a big mixer, especially the size that I've got here at the shop. So we're going to whip this up just for a couple of minutes to combine it and get it a little bit fluffy. So once that's looking nice and creamy and a bit fluffy, we can add some icing sugar. So I've got 250 grams of icing sugar here. I'm gonna add it a little bit at a time, whipping it in between. And just to finish it off, a little pinch of salt, just to kind of cut through the sweetness. And we are done. So it's time to ice our cake. Now I'm just going to put icing down the middle of the cake because I really just love the carrot cake kind of flavour and texture, and I don't want to hide it too much. I just want the kind of icing to enhance all the flavours and add a little bit of contrast, the kind of tanginess from the cream cheese. So I'm going to use a piping bag, and I've gone for this kind of, what's it called? A petal nozzle here. And now I'm going to fill up my piping bag with this yummy cream cheese icing. If you're storing your cream cheese icing, I'd actually recommend keeping it in the fridge because it can go a little bit loose, and then bring it out the fridge like an hour before you want to use it. So here we go, I'm going to ruffle my cake. That looks pretty awesome, but I want to decorate it a bit further. So I've made some of those delicious maple pecans that we did last week. So I'll put the recipe to that in the description box below, but you could just use some chopped walnuts or chopped pecans, but I'm going to use these because they are so delicious. And there it is, my delicious pecan walnut carrot cake, complete with cream cheese frosting and those delicious maple pecans. So I think I should probably cut it open and let you guys know how it tastes, right? Whoa, look at that. Doesn't that look beautiful? Okay, it looks beautiful, but does it taste beautiful? It sure does. It's so good. And like I said, overnight all the flavours are gonna kind of combine a bit more. The texture's gonna be a little bit more moist. So honestly, I recommend leaving it till tomorrow. It's so good. And if you don't want to ice it, you don't have to, but really this little bit of cream cheese icing is so good with it. It's really kind of tangy. Like it almost tastes like wholesome, but in a delicious way. I'm not sure it's classed as healthy, but whatever, who cares? Whew, I could quite easily eat a lot of that carrot cake, but I'm not going to because I've got some people coming over for a meeting here in Soho, so I'll share it with them. It has been so lovely baking back here in Soho. It's been like, I don't know, like 3 months nearly that we've baked here, and we really miss it, and we hope that soon we can open up our doors again to you guys, so we can share our cakes and our coffees and our cookies with you lot. But until then, please bake this at home. Maybe you've already made a carrot cake before, but do try this one because I promise it will not disappoint you. It's absolutely delicious. Make sure you share all your photos on Instagram with me and Gemma, at Sally Dowles and at CupcakeJemma, and use hashtag CupcakeJemma so we can all see them and share your photos and your creations. And we'll be back soon with another recipe. So until then, have a great week.